Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Happy Thursday. We're going to begin. So pursuant to Chapter 4, Section 85, and Chapter 69, Section 2706 of the New York City Charter, a joint meeting of the Bronx Borough Service Cabinet and Bronx Borough Board will take place this morning, Thursday, November 2nd, starting at 10:12, and it will be held in person at 198 East 161st Street, 3rd floor. Thank you, everyone, for being in attendance. Once again, good morning and happy Thursday. Before we begin, I just want to welcome our very new district manager from Community Board 4, Mr. Thomas Alexander. Welcome and congratulations. I feel the energy, so that means, you know, you're going to do amazing things. Welcome, welcome. So as we get started, we're going to begin with roll call. We're going to start with community boards. Up first, Community Board 1.
Good morning, Madam Deputy. Anthony Jordan, District Manager.
Good morning, Anthony. Community Board 2.
Larry Robinson, substituting for Chairman Beto Crespo. Second Vice Chair.
Good morning, Ralph Acevedo, District Manager. Good morning, Madam Deputy.
Good morning, Ralph. Community Board 3. Community Board 4.
Alexander.
Welcome. Community Board 5.
Rashonda Dotson, Community Coordinator. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Community Board 6.
Frank Moran, Board Member representing Block 8, Mr. Chairman.
Welcome.
Rafael Moran, District Manager.
Welcome. Good morning. Community Board 7.
Carla Cabrera Carrera, District Manager.
Good morning, Carla. Community Board 8. Community Board 9.
Mohammed Majumgar, the Chairperson. Good morning, everybody.
And Shirley San Andres Alonso, Deputy District Manager.
Good morning, CB9. Community Board 10. Community Board 11. Community Board 12.
Good morning, everyone. Beatriz Coronel, Chair.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning, George.
Good morning, George. And we'll move into City Council members and representatives. We'll start off with District 8, the Honorable Diana Ayala, Deputy Speaker. District 11, Councilmember Eric Dinowitz. District 12, Councilmember Kevin Riley.
Good morning, Madam Deputy. Good morning, everyone. Simone Jones, Chief of Staff for Councilmember Riley.
Good morning, Chief. District 13, Councilmember Marjorie Velasquez.
Good morning, everyone. Stephanie Rodriguez, representing District 13.
Good morning, Stephanie. District 14, Councilmember Pierina Sanchez. District 15, Councilmember Oswald Feliz. District 16, Councilmember Althea Stevens. District 17, Councilmember Rafael Salamanca. District 18, Councilmember Amanda Farias.
Good morning, everyone. Marco Luna representing District 18.
Thank you all for being present. We have a robust, as always, agenda for our board meeting this morning. Before we begin with our agenda, any city agencies or state agencies that are present this morning? We have City Hall here, our very own.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Alina Dow. I'm the Bronx Borough Director for the Mayor's Community Affairs. Very nice to meet everyone.
Thank you for joining us, Alina. Anyone else?
Hi, Kyle Daniels representing DCAS today.
Wonderful. Thank you. City Hall and DCAS.
Tracy,
All right.
Tracy Bacon, representing DSS, IGA, DHS.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Representing NYCD.
DYCD. Wonderful.
Good morning, everyone. Josue Melendez, New York City Agent, Bronx Government Affairs Officer.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for being present this morning. Really appreciate your representation from your city agencies. First up, we have the United States Census Bureau, and we have Jolie Golden, the Data Dissemination Specialist from the Data Dissemination and Training Branch, offering us an overview of census data and how to access this information. Thank you so much to the United States Census Bureau for being present this morning.
My pleasure. Can everyone hear me? Yes, we're going to choose the mic.
Probably for the
Okay.
for the purposes of recording.
Right. Okay. Hello? Okay. So good morning, everyone. And I want to thank everyone for welcoming me. I'm Jolie Golden. I live in Manhattan. I serve New York City, all 5 boroughs, and I'm thrilled to be here in the Bronx. I was one of 1,500 partnership staff in the decennial census. I'm now one of 35 data dissemination specialists across the entire country. I am here to serve you, and I would love to better inform your community boards and help you access census data. If you don't catch everything that I say today, there is plenty on our website where you can look at short videos. I can do in-depth training. There is so much that we can do together, and I hope that we can help you access the wealth of Census Bureau data that we collect, not just on behalf of the Bureau itself, but on behalf of other agencies, whether it's DOJ or HUD or even the New York City Housing Survey. Much of it is accessible through tools that I will just share with you briefly today, in addition to some data points about the Bronx that might be of interest, just to give you a sense of what you can find through data.census.gov. We are the federal government's largest statistical agency, one of 17. On a rolling basis, we do over 130 surveys and censuses. Most well known for the decennial census. Who here helped get out the count in 2020? Raise your hands. I know you did. I know people in this room helped everyone get counted once, only once, and in the right place in 2020. And I want to thank you for those efforts. So in terms of that decennial census, once every 10 years, hopefully everyone here filled it out for their household or had someone else complete it. That data helps us distribute over $2.8 trillion. Yes, $1 trillion. We used to say $675 billion, but after another assessment, we upped it to $2.8 trillion. So if anyone ever asks you if they should fill out a Census Bureau survey, your job is to say, yes, yes, please call them back, yes, please answer the door. And obviously, the decennial census helps us inform redistricting efforts, the number of representatives in each state. Back in 2000, we stopped doing the short and long form of the decennial census. There used to be an 8-page form and a 1-page form. 1 out of 8 people got that 8-page form. Then we switched to collecting data on an annual basis by sending out surveys to over 3.5 million households, and that is the American Community Survey. So since 2005, you can access that data on an annual basis throughout the country. It is a benchmark. It is something that people through all industries look at, and it's a different form. It's a much deeper form of information. So you can look at data for 35 different topics. There are 72 questions, and we do randomly sample every county in the country for that survey. We released the 1-year estimates. Those of you from community boards, your geography when you're looking for community board data is the public use microdata area. I can demonstrate that to you. I can do a virtual meeting, in person, whatever. That's really important to know. That is where you can get that. That's where the Population Fact Finder for New York City pulls from that American Community Survey data. But usually the data, not usually, there's a time lapse for them to load it into that website. So whenever you want the most up-to-date data, you would go to data.census.gov. In terms of all of these geographies, you can look for data for the decennial census, for the economic census, for the American Community Survey, and much more. I just want to point out our word for zip code is zip code tabulation area. And here are all of the topics. So whether you're looking for SNAP benefits at a census tract level for about 4,000 people, or whether you want to see basic population age and sex data, you can look at all of this, and those numbers there, DPO2, DPO3, those are incredibly rich data profile tables. So let's say I wanted to look at data for Community Board 6 in the Bronx. I could pull the PUMA, put in DPO4, and data on all of those different topics would come up in that one table. It's pretty amazing. And when we have data, we don't need to guess, right? We don't need to say, I think there are a lot of people of this background who live in this area. We can look it up and we can know. So this snapshot I did shows gross rent as a percentage of household income. These are people who pay 35% or more of their annual household income in rent. In the Bronx, I pulled this from table CPO4, comparative housing characteristics, and you can see that number has pretty much hovered over 50%. And this is a significant, obviously significant issue, not just in the Bronx, but in our whole country, the rising cost of rent and the ability for people to own their homes. This just shows you, in terms of that statistic, gross rent as a percentage of household income, you can see that the Bronx has the most people who are paying 35% or more in rent, whereas Staten Island is right behind you. So that just gives you a borough by borough comparison. I didn't draw these maps. I just pulled them up with my fingertips, okay? I am no artist. It is, if I can do it, you can do it. And all of this data, along with my services, are free, okay? So whether I'm speaking to 15 people from Bronx Borough, from BronxWorks I spoke to recently, or editorial staff at CNN, or a college student at CUNY, it's all the same. It's really important to be able to provide that free access to the data. So on the decennial census, there are questions related to race and ethnicity. Until now, because this is very possibly about to change, we collected Hispanic, Latino, and Spanish origin as a separate question from race. So on the 2020 census, people were allowed to write in whether they were of, and the boxes were Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish origin, Mexican, Chicano, Puerto Rican, Cuban, or other Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish origin, or you could write it in. So recently, we continue to release data from the 2020 census. And recently, we released 1,500 different race and ethnicity data categories. This is just a mapping because, you know, being up in the Bronx and having spent time up in the Bronx, I know what incredible heritage there is up here with the Hispanic and Latino population. So I just did a little graph that shows a little bit of the data from that, what's called the Demographic and Housing Characteristics File A. It sounds like a lot, but we all like acronyms, DHCA. And what you can see is the huge Caribbean Hispanic population, a little bit around 550,000. And I mapped, because sometimes I think you are the big kahuna in terms of that Hispanic and Latino population, but you know, other boroughs do have a preponderance of population in this category. And you can see, I mapped right next to it, the Brooklyn population for the same category. So Mexican, Dominican, Puerto Rican, Caribbean Hispanic, and it goes on and on. The nice thing is we did a data visualization, and I'm sorry this is small, but if you look here, this is the African American, Black African American, alone or in any combination breakdown. So if you were ever looking to see if you wanted to know specific groups that might be this is by county. You can see all the way down from Ghanaian, Nigerian, even all down to 807 people identified from St. Lucia. So this is hot off the press, new data. We are looking at combining that Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish origin with race and ethnicity so that it will all be one question in the future. That is something that is being tested along with important efforts to add in. Right now, we only collect biological sex, so we are testing gender questions as well that will help us to better serve our communities. Okay. So this is the part where everyone gets to pull out their phone. Are you ready? We're going to look at, I just wanted to show you how easy it is. If you have a minute and you pull up census narrative profile on your phone, right on your phone, or on your computer, whatever you want. Census narrative profile, you can pull it right up in Google. Most people access our tools by going directly to their name in Google. You can see it will say address lookup. And you can put an address right in this box. You can put your home address, your work address, your school address. And I put in 198 East 161st Street. So here it is. I put in 198 East 161st Street. I click look up address. And then I'm going to click on census tract. And give it a few seconds to load. So what this will do is it will basically spit out a whole bunch of tables and estimates from the American Community Survey 5-year estimates. If you were ever going to visit a local community or even an area and you thought, what's there? What are the people like there? What's the poverty rate there? What language do people mostly speak there? You can pull all of that up, and I'll scroll up so you can see it, just using this simple tool. So I was looking at, we just started collecting, I was looking at public transportation. So there's commuting to work data, which shows for this area, I literally put in roughly the 4,000 people who live in this immediate area for right where we are. 56.5 of them take public transportation to work. And then, if you ever wanted to know, let's see. If you ever wanted to know, this is an example of a tool that helps with transportation data. This is called On the Map. How many people come in and out of the borough? This is 2020 data. Hopefully 2021 will be loading soon. We've got 197,000 people who come into the Bronx to work, 126,000 who live and work here, and then 397,000 who leave. So transportation is very important here. I took the train myself to get here. Does anyone have any questions? Marisol, how am I on time? I'm good? Okay, good. So I'm going to show you one more thing. Has anyone, I have a colleague who always opens saying, has everyone always been able to find every point of data that they want to find? No, right? Well, I can tell you that that's somewhere where I can be helpful. So when someone from it was Jesse Bodine from CB4 in Manhattan, had Hudson Guild calling. They were doing a Head Start application. I need data for CB4 and CB7. I'm having trouble finding it. He pointed them to me, and I was able to send some links to Stephen Santangelo, so he was able to complete that grant application. So that's the kind of way that we can work together. But it's hard for people to know that if they don't even know sometimes that the tools are out there to use and find. So going back to that bigger website, I said there's a whole bunch of data. It's called data.census.gov. Now I'm going to pull it up for you. I actually already pulled it up. And what I pulled up here, let's do it the right way. So I'm just going to go to data. So here it is, right? It doesn't look scary. I'm going to put in Bronx County right into the search. And I'll click on Bronx County. So when you do a general search, this brought up 3,000 tables. Right, 3,000 tables. The first one is usually the race table, and that'll show you a breakdown of race in the county. But there's this nice view profile link that will give you a deeper overview than that census narrative profile that we just looked at. So if I click on that, and I just preloaded it because this table takes a little while to load. And you can look at these profiles at a number of different geographic levels, but it gives me some basic statistics about the Bronx that are helpful when you want to describe the borough and say, what's going on in the Bronx? Well, 21.8% of people have a bachelor's degree or higher, 6.4% are without health coverage. There are 533,000 total households and more. So it's a nice snapshot, and the even nicer thing is, under each of these statistics are clickable links for tables, so you could get the individual data points for that information. But I do really like this feature. This is called a population pyramid, and you can see the breakdown by male and female, but also like the number of people in those categories. So if you thought, I know we have a significant under 5 population, you literally could look at this and say, oh, well, we have 52,000, roughly over 102,000 kids under 5 who are living in the Bronx. So it's a nice visual. And then if you wanted to get deeper into data.census.gov, you can go through advanced search. So anyone have a topic? SNAP or education? Let's do education. Let's do education because we know how important those programs for 3- and 4-year-olds are, and we know that's a topic of interest right now, right? So here, I'm going to go down to the tract level. And we'll look at education data by tract in the Bronx. So I go to New York, I'm going to Bronx County, and I can go on to all the census tracts in Bronx County. I think there are over 700 of them. My topic is education, and let's look at school enrollment. There's a nice table about that will give you the total population too. And we'll look at right now, we'll look at 2021 data. In mid-December, you'll be able to look at 2022 data. That's when that's being released at this level. So I'm just going to hit search, and my table, school enrollment, comes up. And sometimes it's thinking, and just know that there was that friendly stop sign. It's not, you just have to click open the table. So now this is all data by tract, right? Who doesn't love to look at a ginormous spreadsheet? This is a giant spreadsheet. But we're gonna map the data so that you can see, so that you can get a sense, a real sense of it. And all I have to do is click map. And just like that, there's all the census tracts in the Bronx. This is 3 years and over enrolled in school, but I can go to any of these variables and I can look at nursery school, preschool. And not only that, I can look at public school versus private school. This is percent in public school. And I can even look and see, you know, where the most kids are. And I can switch that variable to not percent, but number. And then, so this is where the most preschool kids are. And let's say I wanted to look at community board districts. I could put in boundaries. Remember I mentioned that public use microdata area? So here you are, folks. So I was just able to highlight within different districts in the Bronx. Most of them are one-to-one, meaning one community board for one public use microdata area. Sometimes there's a combination, like 1 and 2 are combined. But this is a way that you really can get a deeper sense of your community and what's going on there by looking at the census tract within that community board boundary. So if you were doing a specific project, this is something you could look at. This is where your constituents are going to be wondering, where is that program for my 4-year-old next year? So that's what I have to share today. And I just want you to know that I'm happy to share my virtual card. The federal government has stopped giving me cards. And I would be more than happy to be helpful and set up a training. And it doesn't have to be a big group of people. Sometimes it's really helpful to work with anywhere from 3, 4 to 15 people. And thank you so very much for your time today. Questions? I'm ready. I feel like sometimes I come to, I spoke at the Manhattan Borough Board. I'm like, where are all the calls? Like, I'm ready. I'm ready to come and see you.
Oh, the Bronx will call.
Very good. Well, thank you very much.
Any questions before we proceed? Yes, go ahead, Alina.
Just need the microphone.
Hi, good morning. I'm Alina Dow with the Mayor's Office, the Bronx Borough Director. How are you doing? Thank you so much for your presentation. I just have a question regarding accuracy based on, I know you said that right now, if we pulled up the information, it said that would be for 2001, and then we'll be able to see later on in December 2022. But I know we dealt with COVID. How accurate is that information? Like, what is the margin of, correction?
So did you see in the data that I pulled for the Bronx for gross rent as a percentage of household income, you did not see 2020 data for the American Community Survey for that year. Sometimes we have it. We do have the decennial COVID posed particular challenges during the decennial census, and that's part of the reason for the delay in those data releases. But in terms of the accuracy of the information, we do guarantee it at a rate of 90%. If we feel that there's any risk of privacy being infringed on, we will not post that data. So sometimes you'll see that data, why I can't see this data, or you might not be able to get the data at a smaller geography. You'll have to look at a larger geography for privacy reasons. We also insert a little bit of what's called differential privacy. I mean, I can send you whole white papers on what we do to protect the data and the privacy of the people who are sharing their data with us. But there's a little bit of disinformation that's inserted into census data This is a newer tactic to to make sure that people's data is kept safe. So let's say the breakdown was there are 10 people who are Black, and there are this many people who are white, and there are this many people who are Asian. There might be a little disinformation in those numbers, but it still reaches that 90% mark of accuracy and statistical standard. Any other questions? Everyone ready to use census data? Please.
Hi, good morning. The presentation was sent to us, right, the PDF. Does it have the links? Because I'm trying to see if the links were on the actual presentation.
They should. I mean, I linked to everything on here. Do you want to, you're trying to use the PDF to make it, is the PDF clickable?
Yeah, I just don't see the links. It even has, that's
They're,
like the
they
last-
should be embedded,
Okay,
so you should be able to click on them.
Okay.
But I'm happy to, yeah, I'm happy to share the PowerPoint individually if that's, or to send you individual links if that's helpful.
okay, thank you. Thank you.
Is there a world where we can call on you to come and train staff
Yes.
members on how
Yes.
to use? Okay.
So if you email me, then I can set up appointments. I do all sorts of work in person and virtually. I'm with Congressman Espaillat's district staff tomorrow morning, the Fund for the City of New York tomorrow afternoon. I don't book every day because each presentation has to be, we try to have a conversation so that I can tailor it to what's of interest for your community. I just did a 15 minutes with Community Board 11 up in Harlem, and just showing a little bit of this is what you can access, this is what you can see. But if you said we're really focused on housing, obviously I could look at, we would spend more time on that topic. Okay.
You up on that offer.
Thank
we know
you.
that data is powerful. Before we move on, and thank you so much. Thank you, Jolie. Can we give it up for Jolie? Thank you. And the United States Census Bureau. This was super, super informative and also a really powerful tool for us to influence the work that we do each and every day. Before we move on to item 2, I just want to take a moment to recognize that we've been joined by Council Member Rafael Salamanca. Good morning, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Folks have received the agenda and know that the second item on our agenda requires a vote. And so with that, we want to pass it over to the NYC Department of Citywide Administrative Services, NYC DCAS, Kyle Daniels, Assistant Director of Asset Planning. The item regarding transfer lease from one tenant to another. So if DCAS can.
It's on the left, right here, okay. Test, it's on, okay. Thank you very much for having me today. I'll be glad to just show you all a brief presentation going over the background and some of the details of this lease assignment. Let's see. Okay, is there, what's a full screen? Here we go. Okay, once again, thank you for having me. My name is Kyle Daniels, Assistant Director of Asset Planning for the Department of Citywide Administrative Services, and this is a presentation about transferring a lease from an existing tenant with the city, Sobro, I think most of you know about it, the South Bronx Overall Development Corporation, to one of the existing subtenants in the building called Transcon. So first, an introduction of the site itself. It's located at 131 Walnut Avenue in the Port Morris area of the Bronx. It's approximately 57,000 square foot lot that contains a building which is approximately 137,000 square feet. And it's a brick warehouse building. It was originally constructed in 1912. The city acquired it in 1978. The lease to Sobro started in 1982 as part of an economic development initiative, and the building was fully rehabilitated by Sobro in 1986. And then Transcon became a subtenant in 2004. In addition to Transcon, there is one other tenant in the building known as Sambonk Uniform Civilian Capco. They do like textiles and uniforms and whatnot for the U.S. military. A little bit about Transcon, who we hope will be taking over the lease. They're a full-service art collection management company that serves major museums. They have they're a long-time Bronx-based business. Their offices are at 234 Ryder Avenue, and they also have facilities at the building I just described. They manage active collections that need to be carefully tracked between locations, and they also stage art for photography and ship and install all over the eastern U.S. There's about 35 employees there, plus many ancillary jobs in shipping. So for the approval process, late last month, I went to Bronx Community Board 1 to request a supportive resolution, and now here I am today, thank you everyone, to request approval from the Bronx Borough Board for this transaction. Upon Borough Board approval, DCAS plans to seek approval through mayoral approval through MOX, and then following the MOX approval, we will do the lease execution. Some of the key lease terms are we're anticipating a 20-year lease with a 10-year renewal option. The Transcon will be paying a base rent value plus full pilot, that's payment in lieu of taxes. Basically because as a city-owned property, it's not subject to property taxes, so pilot makes up for that difference. And there will also be a 1.25 million lump sum payment, which will help towards the back rent owed on the building. And then the timeline of the approval process I just described, as I mentioned, on October 26th, I attended the CB1 hearing where we got a supportive resolution passed, and here we are today, November 2nd at Borough Board, and the mayoral authorization, the MOX hearing, is scheduled for November 15. And we see a bright future for this building. We believe Transcon will revitalize it, really fix it up. It has a lot of capital needs. You know, the windows are in bad shape, a lot of leaks, so we look forward to this city asset being revitalized and improved. We see a financially sustainable situation and a code-compliant building that will also produce revenue for the city of New York. Thanks very much. And before I take any questions, there's also a rep from Transcon as well. If you want to say any words before questions.
No. Introduce myself, Jordan Press. I work for Constantinople Alone. I've been representing Transcon for about 5 years now. Very long road to get here, and happy to answer any questions.
Into questions, I want to give the floor over to Councilmember Salamanca, who has a few remarks regarding this transaction.
Thank you, Madam Deputy, and good morning, everyone. This is a long time coming. I've been working on this project with Jordan and DCAS, and believe it or not, BOEDC with the prior administration with Marlene Cintron on the transfer of this building over to Transcon. For those of you that don't know, Transcon is a major business in the borough of the Bronx and throughout the world. They have almost $1 billion worth of art in that building, which no one would know. I don't know if that should be a secret, but yeah, it's being live. But just you know, throughout the years, that building, it was falling into decay. There was no capital investment that was being put into that building. And it was time for a transfer. And I was supportive 7 years ago, and I'm supportive today, and hopefully during this motion we can get your support to make sure that this transfer becomes a reality. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any questions before we go into a formal vote? Yes, Chair.
So I would like to know the terms, a little bit more, terms of the transaction, how much is the rent, and regarding the capital improvement, like you said, the windows are no good, there are lots of leaks. The city is paying this, or the new tenant will pay for the capital improvement?
Yeah, sure. So the approximate terms of the deal, the base rent is currently set at approximately $700,000 per year, which includes escalations of 3.5% each year. And on top of that, the pilot, I know pilot is set by Department of Finance, but the current value is $595,000 per year. And I think, Jordan, you could probably speak to the capital improvements.
Sure, thank you. As Kyle mentioned, the building's really in tough physical shape. Lots of water leaks, flooding in the basement. The windows need to be repaired entirely. So the cost of the rehab is going to be borne entirely by Transcon, not by the city at all. And it's going to be the envelope of the building, a new roof, waterproofing the basement, new elevators, new fire suppression system, things of that nature to get the building. The interior of the building actually looks quite good, but that's the exterior needs a ton of work. So that's what's planned, but at no cost to the city. It's all privately going to be taken care of.
And we have a question from George.
Just so that we understand, we're transferring the lease over to Transcon. Transcon becomes the major tenant. All the other tenants, I guess, will pay rent to Transcon then.
One other tenant in the building, which is, I mentioned Sam Bonk, so then
All
Sam Bonk will be a tenant
So
to
the building,
a subtenant to
Transcon has 5 floors, the other tenant has the remaining floors?
Yeah, 1 floor, that's correct.
Oh, it's only a 6-story building?
6 stories, yeah.
Very good.
Any other questions? For matters of the vote, I just want to remind everyone that only the Bronx delegation will be voting on this item. And so at this time, I would like to ask District Manager Anthony Jordan to please read and present the resolution.
Thank you, Madam Deputy. The full board resolution is dated October 26, 2023, whereas the City of New York Department of Citywide Administrative Services, otherwise known as DCAS, owns 131 Walnut Avenue, Bronx, New York, 10454, located within the boundaries of Bronx Community Board Number 1 of the City of New York, whereas the City of New York Bronx Community Board 1 held a general board meeting on Thursday, October 26, 2023, where DCAS made an official presentation before the board and the general public regarding the lease transfer request from the South Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation, locally known as SOBRO, to Transcon, effective upon approval of the Bronx Borough President, the Bronx Borough Board, and the Office of the Mayor of the City of New York. Now therefore be resolved on Thursday, October 26, 2023, whereby there was a duly held meeting of the full board and whereby a quorum was present, Bronx Community Board Number 1 of the City of New York does hereby approve without objection the lease transfer between the South Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation, locally known as SOBRO, and Transcon, and voted in the affirmative unanimously with a quorum of the membership present.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jordan. And at this moment, Councilmember Salamanca, can I ask you to pull a motion?
Yes, I make a motion for the Borough Board to approve and support the lease transfer of a 131 Walnut Avenue over to Transcon.
One of the council members can second. Councilmember Riley second. All in favor? Let's do a count. Just the council members. So Marjorie Velasquez, Councilmember Amanda Farias,
I'm sorry? No.
abstaining. Councilmember Pirina Sanchez,
Councilmember Salamanca.
Councilmember Salamanca, of course.
Yes, aye.
And Councilmember Riley.
Yes, second. She seconded.
Oh, well, okay. And then Borough President.
And on behalf of Bronx Borough President, yay.
Motion passes.
So the motion passes unanimously. Well, not unanimously, with one abstention, the motion passes. Thank you so much, Councilmember Salamanca, for your presence. Thank you so much, DCAS, for being present here, and Representative Montes. Thank you, Jordan, Press, for being here. So we will proceed with announcements. Before we share our announcements on behalf of the Bronx Borough President's Office, any city agencies have any announcements to share with the Borough Board? Department of Finance, yes, come on up, Frank. Great to see you.
Yes, please.
First of all, we're in a time of year where your property owners need to take very significant and important moves for themselves. First of all, condo and co-op owners, if their developments participate in the condo co-op abatement program, the unit owners should let their management know that this is their primary residence. That's the only responsibility they have. The developments will take the action of listing that unit with the Department of Finance, and they will see the abatement at the discretion of the different developments at different times of the year, usually in the form of a reduction in maintenance. Your non-for-profit organizations in your districts, including your houses of worship, should always reapply if they are property owners for the not-for-profit exemption there. If they don't reapply, they can lose that benefit. So this is the time frame where you need to do that, and it should be done by January 5th. The co-op condo abatement should make your development aware of that before February 15th. And lastly, 1 to 3 family homeowners. This is the time period where we will start taking applications for senior, disabled, veteran, and clergy exemptions. For the senior and disabled, those that are applying for an initial or a new application can do it now. The renewals will be in a few weeks, or maybe even shorter than that. This time period runs till March 15th. And lastly, we always mention a few things like this. Maybe you go back to your district, you don't remember them all. You can request to have a virtual benefit checkup, as it were. The staff of your teams, in different community stakeholders, if they would like to meet with us virtually, 15, 20 minutes to go over the things that you need, the materials that you need, and arrange for training and events. You can do that. Simply make that need or that desire, make me aware of it at the end of the meeting. We'll set it up for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Question. What is your phone number?
See me after the meeting,
Yeah,
and we'll tell you
This
about
is
it.
very important information we have to share with our board members.
Sure.
Thank you.
Speak to me after.
broadcast, so he doesn't want his number out. The meeting is broadcast, he doesn't want it out.
It'll be great if we can have any informative flyers we can share with the board as well. Great, wonderful. Any other city agencies with announcements? All right, so with that, we'll move on to announcements on behalf of the Bronx Borough President's Office. I want to hand it off to Kira Cannon regarding OCM training and City of Yes.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Yesterday, the borough president and some of our team met with the New York State Office of Cannabis Management. So thank you. I know you all sent me over how many applications you received and any concerns that you have. We are going to be setting up a meeting, training, info session for district managers, chairs, and your staff just to go over any questions that you may have and any confusion with the rollout. That's going to be happening over the next few weeks, so I'll be in touch with setting that up. It will be virtual, and I really hope and urge you all to attend so that we all have the correct information and know how to move forward with these applications. Because I think we have 70 borough-wide. The City of Yes for Economic Development was certified. There's a 60-day window from November 8th to January 8th. We're going to be sending an email out with more information to you. It is important that you share these with your boards, your land use committees, your housing committees. And then again, it's just important to hold a public hearing and a vote in time for the January requirement at this time. Some of you have asked for an extension. City Planning has not granted that. It's just, again, I want to stress the importance of getting your vote in on time. So if you have any questions, we're here to help, and we'll walk you through that. Thank you.
Again, we urge you to be in attendance for the OCM training and to raise any concerns that we have. That way we're all on the same page as a borough. We want to announce and celebrate the recent resolution that was passed calling on the month of November as Veteran Appreciation Month. So thank you so much to our City Council representatives for making that happen. This resolution was done in partnership with Councilmember Dinowitz and on behalf of the Bronx Borough President. So we are celebrating all month long. Just a reminder and help tip, November is also Diabetes Awareness Month, and the Bronx Borough President will be rolling out a series of upcoming events if you want to join us in partnership with other healthcare providers as well. So we'll share that information. And on the event side, we know that it's Puerto Rican heritage as well, and we will be hosting, the Bronx Borough President's Office will be hosting a celebration on November 14th, and we will continue to be in touch, but in celebration of Christmas and Hanukkah, we have our tree lighting and our Hanukkah lighting December 6th and December 7th. With that, I would like to adjourn or close our Borough Board Service Cabinet meeting. Once again, thank you to each and every one of you that was made available this morning. We love sharing this space with you all, and happy Veterans Appreciation Month. Happy holidays.